on, IG fam? I'm going randomly live because I feel like this is a word that somebody needs to hear, somebody needs to be encouraged by, whether you're watching it from the beginning or whether you're going to watch it on replay. This is heavy on my spirit, so I'm just gonna say what it is that God is saying. Hello, hello. As you're logging in, just say hi. God bless you, sis. God bless you. Let me tell y'all, this morning has been an emotional, Christine, an emotional morning. Because, last night we had an amazing episode of Life Beyond the Blade. And one thing that God kept talking about is coming full circle. That He will bring us to be in full circle. He'll bring us to a point where we are completing things and it's a cycle, it's a circle, it's something that we're like, wow, I never thought that I would be in this situation. So I just want to share and encourage this word with somebody. So a lot of people don't know, I was divorced, I got divorced, and I pretty much started from scratch, right? And I lost everything. And I started obviously building and building and building and building and building. And this morning, it's like God brought my whole life in full circle in a way that I was like, wow, Holy Spirit, thank you. So I work in an office, right? I help people with housing. I help people with their needs. If they're backed up in electric, if they're backed up in their bills, like that's what I do. So today, an individual walks in, and I don't know anybody know really where I work, but an individual walks in, right? And the girl is behind on her electric, she's behind on her rent, she's behind on everything. And I'm just like, okay, God, I'm like, let me do this intake. So I'm talking to this young girl, and I asked her, I said, what is the reason that you were behind in this? And she begins to tell me. And literally the Holy Spirit said, the Holy Spirit said, not only are you going to help her with what she's behind in, but you have the ability to help her moving forward. Hear me out. So I'm like, all right, what are you trying to say, Holy Spirit? So I'm sitting there. I'm like, God, what can I do? What can I do to help her? So I'm sitting there. I'm talking to her. I'm hearing her out. I'm hearing her story. I'm hearing her testimony. And I look at her and I say, I've been where you're at. I know what it is to go through what you go through. So, I want to help you. And I'm like, don't look at me because this is all a God thing. This is all a God thing. And I told her, I was like, not only am I going to pay what you're behind in, but the Holy Spirit is telling me to help you 2 months of rent. 2 months of rent. Why? Because I have access to that. I as a worker have access to say, you know what, I'm going to refer this person to a program that can further assist her in the future. And I want to bring it to the spiritual context of that there's a lot of people who God is about to blow your mind. He's about to blow your mind. Heck, He's about to blow my mind. He's about to blow my mind. So I look at this individual and I'm like, I'm explaining to her, I was like, I'm going to pay your back rent. I'm going to pay whatever you have backed up. And the Holy Spirit literally told me you need to pay August and September. The lady starts crying. And my heart literally, if you work in, the mental health field, if you work in human resources, if you work in all of these fields that you have to really be compassionate, I look at her, I say, it's not me. It's not me. I was like, I'm just doing what God told me to do. And she started crying in my office. And I'm having a conversation with her. And God told me, do you remember where you were 3 years ago at this time? And I looked at my life and I was like, wow, I'm where she was today. And I sat there and I was like, wow, I was like, I have to be compassionate. I have to be understanding. I have to understand that we are not in the same shoes. Just because we wear badges does not make us better than the person that is opposite to us, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, God, I'm like, why is it so heavy in my spirit to help? Hi, Edna. I know you just text me, but I'm on live. But so I'm like, Holy Spirit, why is it so pressed heavy for me to help this person? And the thing is that God kept telling me literally in my ears, like, you have access, you have the key to what this girl needs. You have the key to what this girl needs. So I don't know who this word is for. I don't know who's going to watch this on rebroadcast where you're just like, yo, I needed to hear this word. This is totally confirmation. God has your solution already there for you. Hear me. He has the solution already there for you. And I'm glad that Edna hopped on, because that's one thing that she always tells me. She goes, I don't know why you're stressing if you know that God always comes through for you. I don't know why you're always stressing, because you know that God always makes a way. And sometimes when we're going through a trial, sometimes when we're going through a storm, we don't see the ending. We don't see the ending from the beginning. We're just like, yo, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it through the storm. And God is saying, if you only knew that if you trusted me just a little more, if you just trust me just a little more, I have the solution to what it is that you're suffering. I have the solution to your problem. Sometimes a person is your solution. Sometimes a thing is your solution. Heck, sometimes a place is your solution. But you have to give yourself time to understand God. Because yes, even yesterday during our live, we were talking about the fact that a lot of us ask God for small because we think he cannot do that. It's an insult to Abba. It's an insult to God when you say, God, that's too big for you. And God is like, that's not big enough. That's not big enough. That's not big enough for what I could do. I don't know who's suffering, who's going through financial issues, who's going through, things that they're like, God, like, I can't breathe no more. God, I can't do this no more. God, like, I need you to come through. He's going to come through, but he probably won't come through the way that you expected him to come through. Sometimes he'll come through with a person. Sometimes he'll come through with finances. Somehow, some way, he will make a solution. He will make a way. So I encourage you today with that small testimony of this young woman. I don't know what situation you're going through, but there is hope. Just have faith. Just have faith that God can do it. Because at the end of the day, he can do everything. He can do everything, but he also gave you authority over principalities. He also gave you authority over a lot of things that you can change and you can do yourself. There's always going to be movement required from you. You cannot stay stagnant and expect God to be the only one moving. No, he'll meet you halfway. He'll meet you halfway. And the first step to getting there is through your obedience. So I was just saying that, I was like, wow, like, this woman's like legit crying in my office. She's being vulnerable, because crying makes you vulnerable. Crying pretty much exposes what you're really feeling inside. Sometimes it's tears of happiness. Sometimes it's tears of sadness. Heck, sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's tears of you being mad. I'm one of those individuals. I've always been very transparent. I'm one of those individuals who is easily frustrated, right? Is easily frustrated. I'm just keeping it 100. Is easily frustrated, is easily discouraged because of what I see in the natural. And what God is teaching me in this season of my life is that there is a supernatural world as well. Just like there's natural, there's a supernatural move that is also occurring at the same time. So I encourage you today that no matter what you're going through, no matter what hell is trying to raise against you, no matter how many no's you get, trust God for that yes. And if it's not meant for you, then it's not meant for you. That door is meant to stop you. What you need to understand is that God himself could be literally a stumbling block, but he's also a sanctuary. I need you to understand that God has the final say in everything. God has the final step, the final say in your diagnosis, the final say in your schooling, whether they want to approve your loan or they don't, whether they want to approve your house or they don't. God has the final say. And if God says that it is so, guess what? It is so. Stop doubting. And let me see here. Alicia, I'm there as well. Girl, let me say something. And then this word was for you. Because literally I was going to go live on Facebook and it just was not working for me. So I was like, I'm going to go live on Instagram. So this word is for you. It's confirmation for you then. Be encouraged. Alicia, whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that your heart is praying for, whatever it is that your heart's desiring, Ask God, don't be afraid. Ask God to make a way, but you have to have the faith enough to say, God, I know that you'll make a way. I know that you'll have the solution for me. Because let me tell you, it's not easy. And if you're in that same boat and you live in the valley, and in the valley, you can definitely stop by the Conference of Churches and I'll help you out. But God is up to some great things, y'all. Like, y'all don't even understand. Like, it's like he's in the business of really, really, really blowing our minds. He's in the business of blowing our minds. And the only way that he's going to blow our minds if we were obedient, if we're obedient to the word that he's telling us, if we're obedient to what it is that he has us and want us to do. It's a matter of just trusting him. Trusting him. Hello, Patricia. I see like a lot of new people coming in. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so happy people are logging in. Listen, one thing that I'm learning in this season is to, girl, you're welcome. You don't even have to thank you. Thank God. Trust me, God knows what he is doing. God knows what he is trying to even birth in you. Because this is the thing too, thank you, Holy Spirit, is that sometimes we go through trials and we go through tribulations. That way it could birth in us our purpose. Because if we don't get out of certain places and certain mindsets and certain, situations, if we don't get out of it, it will have us. I'm going to say that again. If you don't get out of a situation, it will have you. I'm going to give you an example. I myself suffer from epilepsy. This is me being vulnerable. I have epilepsy, but epilepsy does not have me. I have epilepsy, but epilepsy does not have me. Why? Because I put my health in my Father's hands, where I say, God, I'm going to get in my car and you're going to protect me. You're going to have your angels shielding me. I'm not going to get into any car accidents. I bind that up and I send it literally to the depths of hell, because I'm going to get to my job, because I need the finances to support my household, and God protects. I can tell you now, I've had epilepsy for years. And I thank the Lord. I thank the Holy Spirit that he's protected me. Every time I've gotten in a vehicle, I thank God because I have aura, so I know when they're coming. I thank God because those are things that a regular person would say, oh, but you got epilepsy. What are you celebrating? What are you thanking God? Because I'm alive. I'm alive. My best friend, and the only reason why I'm sharing this is because she's already made a video about this, so I could share it. My best friend, healthy as can be. Woman is natural. Woman is so focused on, I'll call you, Edna. I'll call you. She's so focused on like living healthy and everything else, right? Out of nowhere, y'all. Out of nowhere, my best friend gets Bell's palsy. Half of her face becomes paralyzed. Half of her face becomes paralyzed. You're looking and hearing of a person who's healthy, no health issues, no nothing, and out of nowhere gets a diagnosis. And one thing that I admire about my best friend is that she's such a go-getter. She's such a, like, I'ma still keep going. I'ma still do this. Hi, Riley. I'ma still go and I'ma still, do my business. I'ma still go and I'ma do what God has put me on this earth to do. And I look at her, I'm like, girl, you need to relax. And she's like, nah, Jossie. If I let this diagnosis get to me, what's going to happen is I'm going to stay stagnant. And it taught me a lesson, because it was like, Jossie, you know what? What you don't see is that you don't give yourself enough credit for what you do. Because I get up every day and I have epilepsy. I get up with the possibility of not being able to go to work because I had an episode and unfortunately I can't get behind the wheel. Or I see myself having a seizure, and I see myself literally, I kid y'all not, guys, call me crazy, but there have been times where I've had episodes and I'm literally, it's like an out of body experience, no lie. And I see myself on the floor and I'm like, Jossie, get up. It's not your time to go. Jossie, it's not your time to go. You're not dying today. And I could see my life starting to come back. And then I feel automatically, I get up and I'm like, what happened? It's almost though every time I have when I die and God is like, I still resuscitate you. We need to stop giving CPR to dead things. We need to stop giving CPR to things that aren't meant to be in our life. Stop resuscitating something that's dead. Why? Because it's dying for a reason. It's dying for a reason. And this morning I was I was reading a lot of the comments that people were leaving in the video and the things that they were saying, and I was like, oh my God, like people are really being moved by this. Because this is the thing, we go through stuff and we think that because we sinned or we fell short, that we're not worthy enough to be in God's presence, that we're not worthy enough to be close to God. And God is like, that is what attracted me to you. Your brokenness is what attracted me to you. Your situation is what attracted me to you, because I know that every time you suffer, and you suffer, you come closer to me. If you really think about it, let's not lie here. Let's not lie here, because your girl's about to be real honest. Your girl's about to be real honest. There's been times where my life has been so good and I forgot about God. I'm going to keep it 100. I have forgot completely about God. And then all of a sudden I go through a storm and I'm like, I need to pray. Why is it that it's so easy for us to forget about God when things are going great, but when things are going bad, we automatically, our first response is to go to God when things are going bad? Prayer should always be our first resort, not our last. Prayer should always be our first resort, not our last. Hey, Norby. So I encourage you to, if the doctor gave you a diagnosis, if your girl left you, if your boyfriend left you, if your family left you, if your, friends abandoned you, if you feel unworthy, look at yourself in the mirror and say, you are worth it. You are worth it. You're worth the blessings that are coming your way. Because as this woman sat in my office, that's all the Holy Spirit kept telling me. Like, that was you one day. What would you have wanted somebody to do for you? What would you want someone to bless you with? So if I could be the point of access, if I can be the conduit of a blessing, why not be that? Why not be that? If God is telling you, yo, bless that person. Bless that person. Bless that person with your time. Bless that person with your accountability. Bless that person with your prayers. Matter of fact, bless that person with some finances, right? Are you going to do it? Do you believe God enough to do it, to move upon it? Because we can say, oh, God told me to do this, but are you moving upon the voice of God? Are you moving with the voice of God? Are you moving with what he is saying? Hi, Jemiah. Or are you moving according to your fears? Or I don't see God moving. Or that's too much. God is asking me to do this. That's crazy. I've known, and I don't say this to boast. But I want to say this for experience, is that I've known to hear the voice of God say, I need you to sow over $1,000 into this ministry. And I'm like, you crazy. That could be for my rent. And then the Holy Spirit will make things go full circle and make that same person come to you. And then God says, you know what? Now instead of giving that person $1,000, now you got to give them $1,200, because that's restitution. God is in the business right now in this season of giving restitution. Restitution is giving more than what you deserve, more than what it was, more than what you paid. Why? Because of your pain, because of your suffering, because everything that you've endured. We've all endured a lot in this season, and I feel it's so heavy in my spirit. I don't know who's on the opposite side of the screen that has been going through hell. And you're like, God, I'm done. God, I'm over this. God, I can't take it no more. God, the bills keep coming and the due dates keep coming. I can't afford this. I can't afford that, but I trust you. Your faith will move mountains. Trust you me. I've been there where I've been like, God, I can't do it. And then at the last minute, there's a check at my door. At the last minute, there's a call saying, hey, do you need anything? No, really, the Holy Spirit asked me to tell you, do you need anything? And yesterday, after we got off the live, I spoke with Sierra and her family. And I was like, God, why is it that I was led to speak to her mother? So me and her mom are having a conversation. And I began to explain and expose myself to her mom. And it came from a place of, I need to just let this out. Because sometimes all you need to do is let it out, because you don't know what that does for you. And when I tell you, there was a point in our conversation where as soon as I said what I said, I felt like my hands, literally, no lie, I felt like my hands, there was chains on my hands, and I felt like something cracked, something moved, something broke. And in the middle of the conversation, I told her mom, I said, Cornelia, I feel in my spirit, and I want to thank you because I felt like I just got free from something. And she says, what do you mean? And I said, because as I was being vulnerable with you and I was explaining to you my situation, God literally allowed me to hear the snap of the chain. And he also allowed me to feel the release. This is the thing. If we really think about it, if our hands are tied and our hands are closed because we're so locked in, we're not able to receive the blessings. But once we get free and we let the chains break, our hands are open and able to receive what God has because we made room for it. Your vulnerability will make room for you. Your vulnerability will make room for you because you don't know in the moment of you being vulnerable who you're speaking to that can be the access and the key to what it is that you need and what you desire. So again, I came on here literally to just speak about one thing, and I feel like I'm just rambling, but I'm following the Holy Spirit. Call me crazy. But I just encourage you today, have faith, be happy, and know that there's a solution to your problem. Alicia, Patricia, Jemiah, Norvi, Cologne, everybody who has logged on, Edna, Christina, you guys are so dope. Thank you for taking your time just to listen. But y'all, I'm going to have this on my page. I'm going to need you to share this because somebody needs to hear this word. Somebody needs to hear hope. Somebody needs to know that if God did it before, he'll do it again. I'm going to say it again. If he did it before, he'll do it again. If he provided for you back then, he will provide for you now. He'll provide for you now. Some of us are walking into our promised land, and God is not going to allow us to walk into our promised land with no resources in hand, with no solution already in hand. So I encourage you to just have faith and to know that God is up to something. Patricia, you needed to hear that. God knows what you needed to hear, Patricia. That's why he allowed you to access and to tap in to what God had to say today. There is a purpose and a plan for you. There is a destiny that God has for you. You just have to move in it. Trust God. If God said it, he's going to do it. The word is so powerful. All you need is a word from God. And trust me, after you receive the word, you can move on it. So I pray that everyone that has tapped into something that they needed, something that they desired. I'm going to let you guys know we have another episode of Life Beyond the Blade coming soon. I'm not going to announce the details yet. Not yet. Because it's something that I'm kind of stirring up. And I really, really want to do this the right way. But next week, or I believe the end of this week, I'm doing the second part of Proverbs 31 Woman. So I'll be putting up the flyer in my story. Again, I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to post it. Please, please, please reshare this video. Put it on your timeline. Put it on that way people can hear hope and understand that God is in the business of one-upping you. Homegirl came in thinking that she was just going to get help with back rent, but God was like, no, I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more. I'm going to pay your back rent plus 2 months in advance. So God bless you. God keep you. Keep your head up. Stay encouraged. Know that whatever God has for you, it will not pass you. You have a spiritual GPS on you, baby. And there is nothing that God has for you that's going to miss you. God bless you. God keep you. See you soon.